Hello, everybody. My name's Lisa. I fell into a coma, and when I woke up, a year and 9 months later, I got the news that turned my life upside down. My father left my mom when I was very young, and she tried to compensate by buying me stuff and letting me do anything I wanted. I'll admit, I got a bit spoiled. So when I approached 16 and she started setting boundaries, I was furious. I started sneaking out and bringing my boyfriend over to my house when she was sleeping. My boyfriend, Billy, was a senior in my high school. Real dreamboat. Tall, long blonde hair, penetrating eyes. All the girls wanted him. Even my best friend, Gianna, wanted him, but he was mine. But Gianna's 18th birthday was coming up. She was living in a big mansion next to the woods, and I knew everybody will be there, even Billy. They'll get wild and the girls would be all over him. I couldn't let that happen. But on the day of the party, my mom took the evening off. She wanted to spend time with me, but the party was about to begin. I asked her nicely if she'd let me go, but she started reminiscing about when I was a child and wanted to play with her all the time. I replied, "I am not a small girl anymore, and I won't get pregnant at 16 like you did." My mom slapped me and said, "Go to your room." I was furious, so I shouted, "No wonder my father left you," as I slammed the door. It was already dark and raining outside, but I had to get there, dead or alive. I climbed out of the window and ran to Gianna's place. Just as I expected, Billy was drunk and Gianna was already all over him. I started lecturing him, but Billy got offensive. He said that I didn't own him and I'm nothing but an underage girl pretending to be what she's not, a woman. I ran outside into the backyard. I felt betrayed. Billy came looking like a puppy with his beautiful eyes. He said he's sorry and offered to go for a walk. As we were walking, Billy said he has adult needs that I cannot satisfy. I am not a girl anymore, I thought to myself as I kissed Billy on the lips and started to take off his leather jacket. If only I knew back then what a horrible mistake I was making. A week later, Billy dumped me. He said, "You're way too young for me." I was heartbroken, but I had to get over it quickly. As I was crying in the bathroom, I found a black mole on my inner thigh next to my private parts. At first, it was a small dot, but then it grew very fast and I became concerned. I went to the clinic, scared. I was sitting in the waiting room, watching everything around me when I saw this elderly doctor. He came near the reception and started flirting with the much younger receptionist. The woman wasn't excited about talking to him. Then he turned to me, smiled, winked, and walked away. A chill passed down my back. He looked creepy. Back then, I didn't know what a big part he was going to play in my life. Finally, my doctor waved at me to come in. I told him about the black mole that disappeared. Where was the mole? I pointed to my groin. He asked me if I went into a forest lately. Yes, I replied. He said that it could have been a tick bite, but it's better if I see a specialist. He then wrote down a name. All I could think of was the other elderly man checking my groin. I didn't think so I tossed the paper. I didn't want to go back to the clinic and told my mom that it's all fine. But then the fever started and occasional headaches. For a few weeks, I felt exhausted and tired. One day, I needed to excuse myself in class because I threw up. I felt so ashamed I didn't go to school for the next few days. Gianna started spreading rumors that I got pregnant, but I tried not to worry. I kept telling myself, it's just the flu. I checked the symptoms of tick bites on WebMD. It's just my immune system fighting the infection, no big deal. But after 1 week, I started hearing voices and noises at home. I'd see Billy on a doorstep, but the next minute, he was gone. My vision got blurry. I thought to myself that I should take some antibiotics. All wobbly and shaky, I reached my mom's drug cabinet. I opened most of the boxes when I fell on the ground, smashing all the pills around me. I passed out. Next thing I remember, I was at a hospital. My hands were tied to the rails of the bed, and that creepy doctor was next to me. I wiggled around in bed. He smiled and told me to calm down. He pushed me down on my head and legs. I was breathing hard and passed out again. What I didn't know at the time was that I had edema. In other words, my brain was swelling and it wasn't getting enough oxygen. It was caused by a virus I got from the tick bite. I was in a coma for a year and 9 months. I was dreaming about that doctor pushing me down and calming me while I was tied to a bed. It became a nightmare that I was reliving. For almost 2 years, I was breathing and fed via tubes. Then, I woke up. It was morning. The nurse came to move my body and change the sheets, but she wasn't alone. With her came the elderly doctor from my dreams. I freaked out, but couldn't move. My heart rate jumped. He came closer and smiled. I blinked a few more times. He opened my eye and flashed a torch before it. I felt blinded, like in my dream. I felt trapped. He lifted my bedsheet and tickled my feet. He turned to the nurse and said that she could pull the tube out. I thought he wanted to kill me. After a couple of hours, my mom rushed into the hospital. I still couldn't talk or move. She started crying, but it was tears of happiness. I couldn't express it, but I was happy too. Happy spending time with Mom. A couple of months passed, and I managed to learn to blink my eyes, smile, and wiggle my arms. My speech was slurred, but at least I could say yes or no. But then, another horrible, terrible news hit me. It was time for my daily checkup. The nurse came to change my clothes. As she undressed me, I noticed a scar across my belly. I freaked out. At that moment, the doctor walked into the room. It was the elderly doctor from my nightmares. I started repeating no as he approached my bed. He smiled and leaned over. "Don't worry, Lisa, your baby is alive." "Baby?" My mom came in. She held my hand and told me, "I didn't want to worry you. Turns out, I gave birth while being in a coma. The baby was born at 33 weeks. She was kept in the incubator and was fighting for her life. She asked if I wanted to see her. I said no. The next few weeks I spent thinking, how could this be? How could I? And then I did the math. I knew it was Billy's, but I definitely couldn't see Billy as a responsible human being. So I turned my anger towards the baby. I was thinking that it would be easier if she would just die. At least I learned that the elderly doctor wasn't scary at all. Actually, he was the funniest one. He told me he couldn't stop smirking because that's what makes his granddaughter smile, and I reminded him of her. His name was MD Hernandez, but the kids called him Latin Santa. It was one of the last days before they were to let me go back home. MD Hernandez came to take me for a spin. That's what he called the times when my mom took me in a wheelchair for a ride around the hallways. He drove me through the back corridors, and we entered through the big white door. I saw a bunch of see-through boxes filled with babies. There, in the box, was her. She was looking at me. I stretched my shaky hand towards her, and she smiled. I touched her minuscule hand, and I cried for the first time since I woke up from the coma. Before the coma, I was a teenager with no direction in my life, living free and careless. After I woke up, I was almost 20 with a runaway father and a child in my arms. But I was happy. I was happy Mom talked me into keeping Carol. Yes, that's her name. Just like her grandmother's. I finally understood how she feels about me and how dedicated she is to my happiness. And I love my mom for loving me unconditionally, just like I will my baby girl.